Every day you hustling.
All right, welcome to Crypto Hustle's REKT to Riches, a show that explores the journey of crypto traders, entrepreneurs, and people hustling coins to survive. And this is our first episode, and on this episode we have a very special guest. His name's Theo, and he lives in Greece. I met him a few years ago, and he's going to go into some detail and tell us a little bit about the financial meltdown and how he's been using crypto to survive in Greece. So, first thing, so welcome to the show, Theo.
Thank you very much, Rocky. It's been nice hearing you again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a couple years since we spoke, and I remember the last time we spoke, this was like right after the Greek bail-ins that happened, and I know that it kind of like really put Bitcoin on the map. This was like back in 2013 when all this happened, and we kind of witnessed the banking system failing there and some economic collapse and stuff. But you'd know better than the rest of us on exactly what happened and what it was like at that situation. So how about you go into a bit of your story and tell us what it was like before the meltdown in Greece, and then what happened and what day-to-day life was like after the meltdown.
Well, historically, Greece passed the Ottoman occupation, one First War, a Second World War, Civil War, junta, and from 1947 to 1982, it turned out to be a very strong, very strong with a very good industry and crafts industry, and we had very good standard on. A good level on the Balkans economy. It should be noted here that in the Greek small business in these years have not been able to easily get loans to grow because of the high interest rates at the times. Okay, and I've started historically because everyone knows the situation as it happens now, but there is a part of a plan that is going on here in my country. So these people then worked very hard to manage and develop their businesses and the country. So that was a part of the plan that started here. Since 1982, the economic collapse of the country has begun.
Okay.
And who was in the power at that time does not matter. There were times of supposed, let's say, growth, but in fact they have begun to slowly destroy the country from inside by destroying the industry, the craft industry, and they started to create unemployment.
Okay.
The coin at the time's drachma, the Greek drachma, was artificially undervaluated in order to create the need for the country to enter in the European Union.
Okay.
Again, that was the plan. Okay. So you have to understand that the country was very powerful and their citizens also, because it took for the system 35 years to bring us into the situation we are today. The economic system unofficially collapsed today, and I say unofficially because officially they don't accept it.
Okay.
And the banks have moved their debts into the people. Every Greek citizen holds a part of that criminal result of the banking sector.
Okay.
So many people will say that we lived way above from our needs or our power as our economic power, each one for himself. But I can say that I will tell them they are wrong, because if someone is asking for a loan from a bank to improve his life standard, then the bank has the responsibility to check for their client if they are able to pay back the money. But that was not the case with Greece. Banks never cared if people had the ability to pay back the money because they invested in the physical death of their clients. As every bank is doing worldwide, they're investing on the death of their clients because banks know, or if you want me to say, they have the impression that they are going to live forever.
Okay.
And not their clients.
Yeah. So you're saying that the economy was slowly collapsing for several decades before all the banks defaulted and such. And what was it like when the banks defaulted? Like just in your day-to-day, like what was it like as a citizen of Greece? And what was the news like?
Well, it was a shock for everyone who hadn't the ability to get the information from the economic sector.
Okay.
I mean, the rumors was spreading very rapidly, and we had from one side the media to bring us better, let's say, news and try to avoid the panic from the people, but it was like, and it is like a state of war.
Okay.
Imagine you're losing your job or slowly losing your job, or your salary decreases to, let's say, 50 to 80% down, how your life will change from one day to another. Even if you are not able to pay your rent, your utilities, everything.
Okay. So yeah, I think I recall you telling me one time that you showed up for work and they basically told everyone they're taking a pay cut or something like that.
Yeah. They start doing pay cuts in the company I was working for, and that pay cut was above 40%.
Wow.
Yeah, because at the time they said that they didn't manage to get the amount of money they wanted for their liquidity, and in some way they were. I understand them because the banks didn't give them more liquidity that they can afford to. I mean, they had money in the bank and they couldn't get them. It was just like a capital control.
Interesting. So I also saw that there was bank runs. Is that true? Were people unable to withdraw money out of their own bank accounts? And...
Yeah, the same thing happens today. I mean, you have capital control here. It's going to 800 euros. You have the ability to draw 800 euros per week.
800 euros per week. Okay. So they restrict the flow of income due to liquidity shortage. And so what was the reaction of people when that happened? I mean, because that, I could imagine that would be a bit of a shock to most people, right? A lot of people just kind of go about their lives. They don't really think about, the security of the banking system or anything like that. They just kind of assume that everything's fine and they put their money in the bank because they think it's a safe place to keep it. And then all of a sudden, they get a memo or, oh, you can't withdraw a certain amount. And, we kind of have like loose capital controls here where I'm at. They do restrict how much you can withdraw daily. But you could, if you, theoretically, if you wanted to go and pull out more money, you could go and do that. But in your case, that's not the case at all. So I guess with the money shortage, it's probably difficult to be able to pay for life expenses and stuff like that, I would imagine.
Yeah. And the life expenses go up amazing high. From the one day to the other. I mean, you can't make any program for your life. Actually, you forget your life. If you are on their frame of thinking, you forget your life. The only thing they want you to think, to have in mind, that is that you have to pay back the debt. We don't care anything for anything else. You have to pay. If you, I was, I was speaking with a friend of mine about the media, and I noticed that everything they're talking about is how you are going to pay your taxes, your everything. The only news is how to pay. And imagine being a pensioner who's waiting for your pension on a bank, and you can't withdraw your money from there. I was many times I was in bank and having an old man shouting at the clerk that he wants his money.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, what you're saying is that they won't let people take their money, but they want people to pay up their debts and their taxes and their this and that.
Exactly.
So they still want to fleece the wool off the sheep.
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, that's nuts. So have people been paying their bills and their are they in default, or what's going on with that if they can't pay? What's the situation in general?
Well, in general, there are people who lose their homes.
Okay.
Because they don't know how to react on that. They don't have information.
Okay.
We have people who don't have electricity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they can't afford to pay. It's not the money for the actual, the energy cost. It's what they have added over the bill.
Okay.
Okay, and we have people who, honestly, I can't describe the situation. I mean, I'm thinking about people. The national care system has collapsed. I had a friend. She had her father at the hospital recently, and what she was describing was amazing. I mean, I can't think of myself or anyone being in a hospital without having basic service, because you have to pay for something that you have already paid for your life. I mean, all these people, all these elder people, me, my wife, everyone who was working here had already paid to have some services, basic services from the state, and this doesn't exist anymore.
Wow. And it's interesting because, we heard a lot about the Greece situation in the news, and it doesn't seem like I hear it that much in the news, as much as I did a few years ago, but it sounds like the situation hasn't really gotten much better.
I don't think so. It's just the people have, let's say, been in a kind of more relaxed, or they have found ways to live with it, and they just don't react as they're supposed to. I think that we will see changes happening here in the coming years.
Wow. Well, that's this is one of the reasons why we have Bitcoin, and why Satoshi Nakamoto and a white paper came out after the 2008 financial collapse, right? It's almost an alternative financial system, a possible hedge that might be uncorrelated or insulated from the rest of the economy. Plan B, as some of us would call it. And so, tell us a bit about your journey into Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, how you first heard about it, and what got you interested in it.
Well, actually, when Bitcoin came out, I hadn't the opportunity to be involved because I was in the worst financial position I've ever been in my life. When finally I found a way to start mining and get more information, I went all the way in with a Bitcoin and every cryptocurrency I can use to first as an investment, a future investment. Second, to somehow to try to live with it. I mean, I can use it for buying stuff from abroad,
Okay.
or even to pay some of my basic bills
Yeah.
over the internet. Unfortunately, as you said before, the elder people don't have the ability to access the information, and they think that everything that comes out from the bank is valid. They have that of authoritative finger of a bank, which is, it's very valid. Everything they have and everything they issue is has a value. Anyway, that's a very big problem for Bitcoin here. That's what I see.
Okay. So basically you've been getting into mining, and I heard that you had restrictions on being able to purchase things online. Is that true? Like, was there capital control restrictions on credit card purchases and stuff like that?
Yeah, you can buy. Well, these restrictions have been lowered a little bit. It's about 1,000 euros per person.
1,000 euros a week, a day, a month?
I think for a time.
Okay. So basically, Bitcoin's allowed you to be able to purchase things online to circumvent those capital controls. And how have you been able to pay some of your bills with Bitcoin? How does that work? And walk us through the process of how you would go about paying like your day-to-day stuff.
From recently, they accepted foreign foreign debit cards.
Okay.
But now they don't accept it.
Okay.
So I have to convert Bitcoin to local currency, to euro somehow, and to pay in cash.
Okay. So before you're using like a Bitcoin debit card, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Tell us about mining. What kind of mining setup do you have? When did you get started, and what kind of coins do you like mining?
Well, actually, I didn't have such a great mining power, so I use it's just small coins.
Okay.
Everything that can be easily mined, I use multipools, and I convert it to let's say Doge or any small coin I can get fast.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So you'll mine some of the lesser known coins or smaller altcoins, I guess, with
exactly.
a GPU, like graphics cards type of thing, or?
Yeah, a graphics card and a small miner of a small script miner.
Yeah.
A grid seed.
I also heard that people in Venezuela too are using mining to be able to survive and pay bills and such, and which is kind of, it's really interesting that, people have that option, because the process of mining, you get yourself a graphics card, you can start collecting cryptocurrencies without having to actually use fiat, without having to go out and buy the cryptocurrencies or whatnot out there. You just mine it, and then you can convert that into your currency.
I believe that if you want to get more, you have to be more fast. I mean, maybe people in Venezuela knew the process before we knew it. So most of the people here don't have access, didn't have the knowledge to move faster and to get a better equipment when they had money, because now they don't have money to have access and get more special equipment in order to mine.
Yeah,
that's a problem here, at least from my perspective, my way of viewing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Do you have any obstacles getting into Bitcoin? You know, a lot of people when they get into Bitcoin or crypto, sometimes there's some challenges. You know, I know when I first got into it, I got scammed on some pre-order schemes trying to buy mining equipment. That was my initiation in 2013 in crypto. So after
Well,
that, I proceeded with caution, you know. But I know everyone probably has their own story. Do you have any stories like that?
well, I, I can say that if you have already been in the, allow me to say, in the deep shit, the only way to survive is just to go up. So Bitcoin was up that up road,
Yeah.
the only way up. So I didn't have the time to realize if I have an obstacle or if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
It was the only way out, and it is for me.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
honestly, I will continue.
Nice, nice. I heard you were doing some lending too, some swap lending on exchanges.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so how's that's been helping out as well? I mean, it's pretty decent or interesting interest that you can get. You know, higher than obviously like a savings account or whatnot, and one can compound it. Now, obviously, that comes with counterparty risk. That's the kind of Achilles heel is,
Hmm.
you know, you can make money lending on Poloniex or various other exchanges, but if they get hacked, then that's a big risk. But you know, if that doesn't happen, then it's pretty good returns, I'd say. So that's been helping you a lot. How's that process been for you?
Well, I always think about being hacked. Let's say, okay, but I'm sure that now I know the way to to have money again. I mean, you work different if you have, let's say, a small amount or a bigger amount on an exchange rate on an exchanger, and I don't have such big money to lose on the exchange, but the amount is so small that I can replace it very easily.
Okay.
Hmm.
What do you think of the bull market this year? The the altcoins popped off in the spring. You know, a lot of altcoins went up,
Hmm.
and you know, then Bitcoin's been on a tear. Altcoins haven't been doing so hot. Well, not all of them, anyways. And Bitcoin's been on a tear. Has that helped the situation at all? This crazy bull run that we've been in.
I think that in the next months we are going to see a very big explosion on the Bitcoin, and that will follow the also an explosion on the altcoins also.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of new money that's been coming into the space. A lot of institutional investors. You know, it's funny because at first they ignored Bitcoin, and then they tried to scare people. Oh, it's for it's for drug dealers and criminals and blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
yeah, I know.
And then they're like, well, we love blockchain. We absolutely love blockchain, but Bitcoin's dirty. You know, and then after a few years of that, now I think they're all just trying to get more money from Bitcoin. Now they're like, well, if you can't beat them, let's just make more money off of it. You know, so
Yeah, yeah.
I know there's a lot of financial institutions and a lot of institutional investors that actually want to create funds and such, and obviously kind of becomes like a supply and demand thing. And I even know,
Hmm.
like, from even behind the scenes, because sometimes I get contacted or emails or whatnot with
Yeah.
propositions, so I kind of hear, and you see more and more in the media they're kind of getting into it, but I think there's still a ton of money on the sidelines that still hasn't come into the market yet. So the ultimate question is Bitcoin going to go through another boom bust cycle like we saw before hitting that mainstream adoption, that S curve, and widespread early majority,
Hmm.
or is it going to turn into Apple stock that had a boom bust cycle and then went on a multi 10-year bull trend type of thing? Or is it going to turn into like the stock market that just been going on a bull trend for a decade type of thing? So we've yet to see. I mean, I entertain both possibilities. Obviously, you got to manage risk as a trader and lock in hard profits along the way, and just kind of pay attention to the markets. But you know, it's 24/7 markets, so you kind of got to be on the ball. Was there any one particular altcoin or coin that did very well for you this year that you were into?
Well, I think Stellar.
Stellar, yeah.
Yeah, I think Stellar.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but for me, I think it was Stellar.
Nice. Yeah, Stellar had a bit of a bull run. It's kind of a bit correlated to Ripple, and I just heard recently some interesting news on a fundamental level that they've partnered up with IBM for a new kind of payment system, and I don't really think that news is quite sunk into the markets yet. You know, made a small move on that news, but almost similar. It kind of reminds me of Ripple. You know, last year we just kept on getting hammered with all this bullish news on Ripple about all the, you know, banks using it and this and this and that. And the markets would spike up and then they dump, and it just kind of got really spiky. And then all of a sudden it went from, you know, half a penny to like 40 cents or something like that. Pretty wild returns there on that. And I kind of agree with you on that one. I think Stellar is probably a bit undervalued. I always try to go for the things that, unless it's like a high momentum, you know, trade or whatnot, I generally like to try to find something that's slightly undervalued compared to some of the other stuff, you know. And I agree with you on that. That Stellar is probably one of those. It could be cooking right now. So. So what excites you most about the crypto industry? I mean, why are you in it? What's your, aside from surviving off of it, which is a, you know, pretty good reason to be in it, but on a philosophical level, what excites you about it?
On philosophical level, it's the freedom that gives you to trade with people, to share with people, and to be able to follow your ideas and see your ideas creating.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to worry about someone who is going to hide you, to force you to do something that you don't want to. I mean, you have the ability of creativity. You have the ability to see everything happening because you want them to happen. You don't have a bank, you don't have some institution to asking you why.
Yeah.
How you did that, how you did the other. Okay.
Yeah.
And and that helps people if they understand that. I mean, the next part is to stop dealing with fear.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I guess fear definitely keeps people in line. You know, it's certainly a good control mechanism. But yeah, absolutely, that is one of the best features of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, is that they're permissionless. You know, you have absolute control over it, and as long as you keep your private keys secure, then no one can tell you what to do with it. You know, and that's a great thing, and that's actually quite a paradigm shift from what we're used to seeing, because, you know, we're just so used to asking permission for everything. You know, it's like the bank's got us on a spending allowance on our own money. We got to ask some permission to send money here, send money there, so on and so forth. You know,
it goes beyond the technical aspect of the cryptocurrency. It has to do with life.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have the option to be able to dream, as one of my favorite books says, dream, and reality will follow. Then your reality is gonna be better. Cryptocurrency give you the insurance. Maybe it's a placebo. I don't think so. It's real. To be able to dream and create for yourself, your family, maybe for your country.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing with crypto and the internet. You know, the great thing about the internet, if someone has a computer, an internet connection, doesn't matter where they are in the world, they can pretty much start making money. you know, and that's one of the inspiring things about crypto, and it's absolutely changed my life on a personal level because of that. You know, I live in a remote area, and you know, I just work for myself off my computer and make more money than I would make working some job, you know. And
I'm also live in a remote area.
nice. So it's great for that, you know. I mean, instead of, you know, people are so used to, you know, complaining and begging the government for jobs, you know, it's like, well, get on the internet, go create some opportunities, go create a job, you know, like create a business, do something, right? You don't need anyone's permission to do that, you know, and so many of the tools that we have on the internet are free, you know, like people can literally start an online business on a very small shoestring budget, you know. It's way less overhead to start an online business than a brick and mortar business, way less restrictions. And then with Bitcoin and crypto, makes it a lot easier to be able to accept payments and stuff. And that's another thing I love about crypto, is just money just flows very freely between participants. You know, there's not a heck of a lot of restriction between, you know, sending someone some crypto. You can tip them on social media, you can whatever, you know. So that's absolutely a great thing. And you know, people can use social media for free. They can if they create value, they can build up their influence, build up a following. If you have a following, then you can, you know, you could sell products and services. And that's kind of the beautiful thing with the internet, is it's really you know, in the information age, information is a commodity, you know. Entertainment is a commodity, and anybody has that ability to be able, as long as someone can either inform you or entertain you, then they have an ability to monetize that on the internet, you know, and build up a following. And we see it all the time, you know, in social media.
But they have to know how.
Exactly. You know, and then there's a niche for everything. That's another beautiful thing with it, is that no matter what someone's interested in, you know, they can create a business around their niche, you know, and become like a subject matter expert online on their particular niche, and they don't need permission to do that. And it completely destroys all the old paradigms of what we're used to, you know.
Again, you have to overcome the fear.
Yes, exactly.
And I have to say that from my part, because I see that every day on people. I see the fear on their faces.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're so conditioned to be risk adverse that they fail to tell us about the other side of risk. No risk means no reward, right? So sometimes if you go into something, you know, people look at me and what I do, very high risk industry. Oh, it's crypto, it's super high risk. Oh, he's trading, super high risk. And yeah, absolutely, it's high risk. You know, people get wrecked all the time. But the reward is huge too. You know, if you survive long enough in this digital jungle, then you know the rewards will come, and that's kind of one of the great things about it too, and taking the risk, and even people just, you know, leaving the comfort of their 9 to 5 or whatever to venture out and take the risk as an entrepreneur or whatever. I mean, you know, again, huge risk, but also huge reward if it works out, right? Because very hard to make money if you sell time for money, because our time is a finite resource, right? There's only so many hours in a day we can work, but you know, there's other ways to make money through, you know, passive income and, you know, investing stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So just to wrap up, if you could give some advice to our listeners, what would you tell them?
Well, first, turn off the TV set. Second, never ever trust banks. Never feel ashamed in case that you don't have money. Always find a way to help people, and that's all. And everything changes. Trust yourself, respect yourself, respect your friend and your neighbor.
Absolutely. Yeah, it all goes around full circle. You know, you help out others in your community, make your community stronger, and ultimately we all become stronger. So, for sure. Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been great. Thanks for coming on to the show and telling us about your story. And you know, we wish you luck in the crypto hustle. You know, may you prosper.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your invitation.
Yeah,
And I
well,
hope, yeah.
I'll also put a link in the post to a site. You know, if one of your sites or something like that, if you have a means, an online business or whatnot, and we could post up a Bitcoin donation address or whatnot if people want to tip you.
Okay. Thank you. I will provide it.
All right, Theo. Well, you take care and have yourself a great day.
Thank you very much.
All right, cheers. Bye.
Cheers.